Good evening. Welcome to the March 11th, 2020 meeting of the East Long Meadow Conservation Commission. In accordance with public law, we need to ask if anybody in the audience is recording this meeting this evening. Hearing none, we'll move on to the first item of business, February 12th, 2020, the revised minutes. I saw those. They look fine to me. Did anybody have any other comments or changes?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the February 12th, 2020 minutes.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I looked at the February 26th minutes also. I had no changes to put in there. Did anybody have any?
No.
I'll entertain a motion for approval of the February 26th, 2020 minutes.
So moved.
Second, third, fourth.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right now, as they are here, under project monitoring / other business, we have a review of the Porter Road culvert replacement plan submitted by the Department of Public Works. I'll entertain a motion to take that item out of agenda and proceed with that as our first item.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Gentlemen,
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for taking us out of order.
I noticed that you have some screens. I have a thumb drive if we want to share images of kind of the layout of the culvert. It's totally up to the group. Otherwise, we have drawings which will work as well.
Does everybody got the?
yeah, we got a second.
Yeah,
Yep.
we saw it.
So hi, I'm Tom Christensen, East Long Meadow DPW. I'm joined by David Gonzalez of Ma McDonald. He's the consultant for the project. We just wanted to get this out here to you. Couple things, just kind of housekeeping, permitting. I'm interpreting our this work to be covered under our bundled notice of intent, category 5, which is maintenance and repair of structural conveyances. This is an existing culvert under Porter Road, just north of the Allen Street intersection. The Mill River runs underneath Porter. So the question is whether you interpret the language in our notice of intent the same way. And if so, we have to be in front of you for category 5 work anyway. So that's sort of where we're at. I just wanted to get your opinion on if this work was covered under our existing permit. And if so, like I said, this category 5 work requires us to be in front of you and talk about the project anyway, so. And then I guess I'll hand it off to Dave and he can kind of go through the project a little bit, a brief overview, and
Sure.
we'll answer any questions that you guys have and go from there.
If we could, I remember looking at that before, but I will check into it some more. But on my first run around, I didn't think it fell into that,
No.
and I thought a separate filing was required. But
Okay.
we can address that later. But that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everyone, for your time. As Tom alluded to, we're doing some structural repairs to the existing culvert that's there on Porter Road. Some of the components that we have include work both above the structure and within the structure itself. We have, there are 2 catch basin grates, or really just grading, on the top of the culvert that the DOT and their inspections have deemed to be something that needed to be addressed. So what transpired was there was some funding that the town received from the state to address some of these repairs, and kind of what we've done here. What we also noticed in the inspection report from the Mass DOT, there's some work that needs to be done within the culvert itself, some spalls that need to be repaired, et cetera. One of the things, spalling, concrete spalling, some of the concrete's starting to fall apart. You're starting to see some exposed rebar, which is the metal components within the concrete. So we're looking at conducting or doing repairs for that as well. So one of the things that needs to be done is some work within the culvert And in order to do that, we want to control the water within that culvert so that work can be done without stopping the flow of water or any allowance for any species to travel through that culvert. The intent would be to take half of it offline, meaning sandbagging one half to do the work, conducting the work on the west wall, and then doing sandbagging the other half to do the east wall once we're done. Always allowing flow to flow through that culvert. That would be the intent of this exercise, and it's something that, we've talked about and wanted to just be in front of the commission to determine, what it is that you would like from us further to help, make any decisions that it is that you require or you need.
Now, this is the one over by the Pine Knoll, right?
Where Pine Knoll, the batting cage entrance comes out, yep.
Yeah.
So what is the existing structure? It's just cement with rebar, reinforced cement?
Yes, sir.
Box cover, what, 12 by 5? They put it in meters, obviously, 3.6 meters by, or 3.7 meters by 1.6, I think it's 12 by 5.
And there's,
Approximately.
so there's two culverts that currently drain into the top of it?
There's two openings with some there's grading on the top of that culvert,
Yeah.
but that's it. So any runoff that you have just goes right into the stream,
Straight down?
straight down. So
Yeah.
what we're trying to do as part of this project is actually improve that. So any runoff would go into the catch basins with sumps. So anything that you have would be allowed time to settle before it goes back into that culvert. So there is an improvement in terms of
Water quality, right.
water
Oh,
quality.
so you're gonna build culverts?
Catch
Or
basins.
catch basins to either
Yeah.
side?
Yes, sir.
And that's gonna catch it and then funnel, the runoff's gonna funnel into the same location, give or take?
Correct, but you have that sump that allows any settling.
Right,
Yes,
so
sir.
it's
Yeah.
not gonna throw salt, sand, everything they're throwing on the road,
That would be
waste
the-
oil.
Correct, the
It's gonna
intent would be,
Especially the salt.
And just to, so that brook runs north-south? Or
It
east-west?
runs,
So what would be the western wall? Is it,
the western wall would be towards Pine Knoll, towards the Pine Knoll area.
so
Right.
you're gonna do the whole, one side of the brook, that would be the outflow, and then you're gonna do the other side?
That would
And what are
be,
you gonna do, funnel down the middle?
no, so we would basically, and I have an updated drawing just to share
Just to
everyone.
get relevance so you plan to do like one wall, like lengthwise with the brook,
Yes.
or a face, like perpendicular to
Lengthwise
the brook?
with the brook.
Lengthwise with the
Yes,
brook?
sir. So there aren't, so on the openings, on either opening, we don't have any work to do. We just have work to do on the two walls going across Porter Road. So it would be lengthwise across, so in essence, we'd be crossing Porter Road in its entirety, doing that work on one wall. And we'd have it, sandbag off and dried, and then we would flip over to the other side, or vice versa. I mean, we haven't.
Right.
figured out.
So basically, you're just doing the sidewalls on the interior of the cult.
Correct. Plus, we're also going to be able to support any work that we're doing, closing those openings that are on the top of the culvert there.
and then there'll be
Sounds like
some,
a complicated project.
yeah.
So
And
the
there-
plan is this, the sandbag, the brook, create like a, what do you call it, a coffer dam effect?
In essence, but we're not blocking off the entire culvert, so you will still have your.
No, it'll
flows.
still
Yes,
flow,
sir.
so you're just gonna be able to access that whole wall in its entirety.
Yes, sir.
There's some regrading in the street, obviously, because we're moving the basins away from the culvert, which was the low point, which now we can't have because we gotta get the water to those catch basins. So there's some minor regrading and,
We're replacing the guardrails above as well. They're gonna be extended quite a ways as well to comply with current Mass DOT requirements.
What's the duration of the project?
It is probably less than 2 months. I mean, I would say a month, 2 months to be
Yeah.
safe, but I
So
would
you're gonna-
venture to guess less.
July, August?
Documents will go into the DOT this month, depending on how long it takes to receive the comments back. We would go out to bid sometime in April, May, so probably July, August timeframe.
low flow would be good.
Yes.
Right, so what?
Definitely,
Like,
yeah.
for the duration of the project, what would be the water that collects on the road is currently going straight into the brook. So
Yes, sir.
what's the plan for that water for the duration of that project?
I
So
think-
the directed,
Yeah, so we would coordinate the work such that the catch basins are installed initially, so that as we're then repaving and repairing everything, you're still getting flow to the proper locations. You're not gonna have any ponding in any locations or anything like that.
catch basins is the first part of the project.
We are going to identify that as one of the first components to the project, yes, sir.
According
After
to-
our soil erosion control devices are in place,
Yes.
obviously. I mean,
That was
The-
my next question.
By looking at this plan, the catch basins are just going on the East Long Meadow side, not the Wilbraham side? Are you gonna-
That is correct. The reason for that is because there's an existing storm drain there now, but it's only on one side of the culvert. So we want to make sure that we're tying in there. We figured with that catch basin allowing some settling time, we would then there's already existing penetrations through the culvert, so we're just trying to utilize what's already there.
So is there a calculation for doing it during the driest season of the year? Do they calculate like, all right, at this time of year, if the duration is X, the brook will rise no more than 6 inches or? You understand what I'm saying?
No,
So when you sandbag this thing off, obviously you're gonna go above the lip of the brook.
Yeah, no, I understood, and when we did our survey in this area, we did take ordinary high water. We were able to identify what the ordinary high water level is within that culvert, which is, I think it was 15 or 18 inches from the bottom of the culvert. It'll all depend, right? In the summer, we may get a massive rainstorm, and that river level may rise fairly quickly. We can forecast, anticipate those items, and allow language in the contract documents that indicate that they need to be prepared to move in the event that there is any significant rain events. We don't anticipate being in the culvert that 2-month period. I would venture to guess it's 1 week at most on either side, approximately 1 week on either side. So the bulk of the work will be done up top, but the patching and everything else, maybe a day for the sandbagging, a day to dewater, a couple of days to do the work and allow it to cure, and then you're removing the sandbags probably within a week or so. So it's not a lot of in-water work, but I think we felt compelled to just share that there is in-water work here.
which is why I thought triggered the category 5, because that states, actually doing work in the resource area, right? Not just the buffer. But again, that's whatever your interpretation is, what it is.
Yep. Yeah, we're looking at it. We got a
And that's
little
why
bit.
that's why I wanted to know if I was interpreting it correctly, I guess, is whether we had to permit this at all.
Yeah,
I know we had, it needs a
I
permit,
thought we
obviously.
discussed when we had the meeting a few weeks ago, that I thought Bruce said that you folks were filing an NOI for it, but
Okay,
I could have been mistaken there
Okay.
too.
Oh, I thought that's what he said we were gonna do.
okay.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, the sidewalks don't exist now, do they?
They do not.
They do not,
So
okay.
originally, we were putting them in for the project. The price got too high. We only had a certain amount of money from DOT. So we removed the sidewalks, but we're allowing for provisions for future sidewalks.
Okay, 'cause I see
Because
it
that's
says
on our,
proposed, yeah.
the master sidewalk
Oh, you're
plan
building it
has
out?
that.
You're building it out?
We're just making sure there's enough room there to get a sidewalk by.
So the way the guardrails are now, they're kind of in between the edge of the road and the culvert. And so you may have like 2 or 3 feet on either side. The way we've redesigned it based on our conversations with the DOT is we've actually brought the guardrail up to the road right of way along the curb line. So now we've got 8 feet behind it, which will allow as wide a sidewalk as you need, 3, 4, 5 feet, as well as a handrail. We did look at potentially shifting the guardrail back, but we did take a look. We can't consider the guardrail any means of, your handrail
Right.
access, so.
So you're saying the space currently exists, it's just the way the placement of the
Right.
guardrail restricts the sidewalk?
Correct.
Or possibility of sidewalk?
Yes, sir.
Tom, how close are you to the cemetery? Doesn't that river run right on the edge of the cemetery?
There's a driveway in between.
Yeah.
It's, oh my God.
No, it's a ways, there's a Brookside. There's a driveway in
It's
between.
right there at the curve. As you go around the curve and you
Yeah,
start
it's
to
right
go down,
across
that's
from
where-
the-
That's where you're talking about, that culvert,
Yep.
Yep,
by the entrance to the golf course.
Yes.
You're right there.
yep.
Yeah,
So what side would that future sidewalk be, on the side of the cemetery or on?
Can I say to be determined? Is that okay, or? No, I honestly, I don't know. Probably that side, cause all
'Cause I know
all
the-
the neighborhoods are on that, so that we'd hook into Brookhaven and then eventually Evergreen.
No, I was
And
just wondering the low part.
I believe the
I haven't been up there.
The
for a
master,
while.
the sidewalk master plan has it on the south side of
Okay.
of Porter Road, which would be ideal, then you don't have people crossing to get it.
well, basically, we don't have anything
There's nothing there
there
anyway,
except for
so,
the entrance to Pine Knoll and the golf
Right.
course, so you really don't have any residential.
right,
And then beyond that, it's all woods and wetland.
right, yep.
So, correct me if I'm wrong too, though, the one-lane road does not apply to work that's being done on the inside then, correct? That's still gonna be a two-lane road while that's happening?
When we're beneath the culvert,
Yeah.
they can be
Yeah.
a two-lane road, but I would assume that any contractor that comes in here could possibly do both at the same time. With their means and methods, we'll allow them to do it as efficiently as possible. So if they'd like to do it where they have one crew down below and another crew doing the work up top, that's fine. I would venture to guess it's a small job, it would probably be one crew, so they may do one or the other. But again, it's
But
really.
it doesn't necessarily apply to the work that's going on underneath.
No, sir. No,
Yeah,
sir. The
okay.
traffic control is just specific to what's above the culvert.
So around the opening, into the culvert you're gonna place on the East Summit side, there's gonna be, it's on the East Summit side, you said?
On the east side, it'll be on, the catch basins will be on the east side of,
That would be the Wilbraham side.
that'll be, and I
Wilbraham
apologize
side.
for that.
Northeast,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever.
So the only issue I really see, aside from it being a difficult task, is the ground that's exposed along the road's edge down to the, what is it, the Mill River?
Yep,
Case in point, they're doing Agawam right now, by the Big E. That's a DOT project. And they've sandbagged the river. It's a significant project. And upon close inspection, you know, the whole side hill's opened up. There's heavy erosion, and it's going into the river. It's out of sight. I don't think it's a mystery to anybody that's on site, but it's clearly not being monitored. This one's gonna, you know, there's gonna be eyes on it. So I would just caution you to make sure that the bank is dealt with for erosionary purposes.
Yes, sir. We have provisions for sediment and erosion control on this project. I don't know what was involved with the Agawam Bridge project.
Take a ride over there if you get a
I
chance, and
will.
go over by the laundromat and take a look-see.
Okay.
It would-
Our office is in West Springfield, I could just drive right over there.
This was probably 3 weeks ago.
Okay. The thing with ours is that the wing walls and everything is in good shape, so we don't have to expose anything on either side. The only access will be limited to just getting within the culvert. So I don't anticipate there being substantial, you know, going down the bank or anything like that in terms of any substantial erosion or any impacts to the bank.
It's all handwork, there's no machinery. Or
For the
slight-
spalls that we have, for the spalls that are within the culvert, I would have to imagine that it's just gonna be minor work. There's no heavy machinery that's going in there. Yeah, and as far as how they're going to support that opening, again, I don't see any large equipment being inside the culvert. A lot of that is primarily handwork.
yeah.
Just cribbing and,
I would venture to guess it's gonna be a relatively small effort for them in there.
All right, I'll say I don't know. When we say spall repair, is that like referring to the ceiling inside the culvert?
A spall can be anywhere. So a spall can be on the wall, could be on the floor, could be on the ceiling. It just means there's a soft part of the concrete that
Okay.
needs to be removed and rehabbed and repaired and patched. What happens with the concrete sprawl is if you have, you know, a chunk of concrete falling
Yeah.
or failing, and there's means for water to get in, you start seeing corrosion of your
okay.
rebar, which is your support for the structure. So we're just trying to prevent that.
So then essentially you're gonna go in there where the spall needs to be repaired with some jackhammers or something like that, clear it out and then put concrete in, just,
Yeah, I would venture to guess a jackhammer's even bigger than what we would anticipate for
like the
something here.
rotary hammer drill that can just go on and
Yes, yes.
chisel, that sort of, yeah.
Yeah, and it would be, they would go in, they would patch that area, they would allow it to cure for whatever the product it is that they're using. Every product has a different cure time, and it depends on temperature too, right? The warmer it is, the quicker these products cure. So to do it in July and August, like you had mentioned, would probably be ideal here for this project.
What are the chances of asphalt or cement or getting into the water?
The intent would be to patch the top of the structure before they pave. I think you want all of your repairs done before you're going back in to pave everything.
Do you have methods of keeping things, you know, any pieces that fall out or, you know, out of the,
It would be, I guess, a quality control kind of thing, where that it would be expected of them not to make a mess of the river, basically.
Yeah, then I'm assuming they gotta hang some kind of tarp or
They're
something.
probably gonna work within the parameters of their
you'll be
property.
sure of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, a project like this with DOT and we'll be on site every day.
Good, okay.
And it's within the existing roadway, we're not expanding anything or doing anything to the roadway. So you'll have all the work within the existing limits, plus you have your sediment and erosion controls, plus whatever other means that they typically have when they're putting down.
What are you using for erosion controls?
What we've typically proposed are straw wattles and silt fences, or hay bale and silt fence. It's really, you know, at the discretion of whatever the commission prefers.
Sort of probably site-specific too, depending on, sometimes the wattles don't work if
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
too
maybe-
steep or,
Yeah.
Back up one with the other.
Yeah, right.
Wattles for filtration and then have a silt fence to back it up,
Yeah.
or maybe a double wattle.
If you use hay bales, you're gonna clean everything up really well, though. Probably not.
We normally go straw wattle. I just suggested
Yeah.
hay bale because I know some communities still prefer that. I mean, it's really up to the commission.
Wattles are neater, better, I think, right?
Yeah, it would have to be, it can't be, it's gotta be filtration, right? It's gonna have to be, so it's gonna have to be wattles or hay bales.
Mhm.
It can't be silt fence.
I think then we would recommend here straw wattle in this particular instance.
The straw, if I may, doesn't seed, and hay will seed and produce weeds, so we do like to see straw in place.
Straw wattles are better, yeah.
Straw it is.
Done.
If the motion's made.
We can,
Suggestion.
we both already wrote it, so it's all set.
Straw lasts too, hay rots a lot quicker.
Yeah.
What I've used in my archery targets. Straw is much better. I'm not following the membrane, you know, and I'm sorry, I'm just a curious guy. The membrane is, we're gonna knock down some bad material, then put the membrane up? This full membrane, or,
what sheet are you on, sir?
sheet 305 in the Mass DOT ones? Where they're showing it above the small repairs, I guess?
So that would be between the roadway and the culvert.
And the culvert, okay.
Correct.
All right, that's what I was kind of thinking about. So that's just gonna be a full sheet going in there, pretty much the whole size of where the pavement is being redone, or
Just the openings itself.
just the open?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So is your intention to dam off half the brook at a time?
That would be the intent, sir.
To go just past center point, or to the center point?
Yes, sir.
So that any fish or living.
We want to allow any aquatic life to continue to do what it typically does.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
thank you.
And so essentially, I guess from what we're seeing here, the base of the culvert's okay.
Yeah, it seems like it,
Yes, if there's anything that's identified, so when the Mass DOT did their inspection, they did it when the river was still flowing through it, so how much of the base or the floor that they could see, you know, is really subject to what they saw, but we didn't see any repairs that were required for their inspection. If we de-water and identify that there's an issue there, we will certainly bring it up to the towns, to, you know, indicate, hey, do we, you know, let's make these repairs, or we would recommend making repairs while we're there, you know. And again, I wouldn't anticipate there being something, based on the condition of the rest of the culvert, I wouldn't envision there being anything that's out of the ordinary. You know.
it's a pretty comprehensive inspection report by DOT, which I can forward along if you guys wanna have a look at it. That's not a problem.
If you think it's worthwhile.
Well, I mean, the pictures are cool, and, you know, there's a lot of information, and you can see where this.
If you got it
this structure-
electronically, sure, send
Yeah,
away.
this structure needs some work, you know, you can, picture tells 1,000 words, something like that.
Yeah, I'd have to take a peek
Okay.
at some of the pictures.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But the overall structure is basically sound, it's just some minor
Correct.
cosmetic repair.
Or else it
Yeah.
would have been a
Yeah,
bigger job. They wouldn't have recommended a repair.
It's not over
Which-
yet.
Huh?
It's not over yet.
Hey,
Does,
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
does the DOT send this to the DEP?
I don't believe
doubt
that
it.
DOT does, no,
I think
sir.
that's probably up to us to handle that,
Okay,
which is part one, right here.
all righty. I didn't look at this too much. My laptop screen is just not big enough. I have a struggle looking at prints on it. But these two appear to be pretty comprehensive plans.
is there gonna be any replacement of the asphalt roadway, or just leave it the way it is?
Yes, that is the intent, so that we can pitch everything to the proposed catch basins that we have. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we had to, in order to hit those grades, I think we had to extend out a little bit past the limits of the culvert. You know, so the grade worked.
So you're gonna recurve and repave the outside of the street and then plug those existing
Basins, yeah.
basins.
Yes, sir. That's the bulk, that's the bulk of the work there, is those areas above the culvert itself.
How much are you changing the grade? That's probably here, but I've not seen it.
Don't know off the top of my head, I'm sorry, I'll look at it.
That's really not much.
Oh, I'm seeing like a 2% grade it's showing.
That's,
Yeah.
that's across the road itself.
Oh,
So
okay.
center
Oh, I
line,
see.
center
Yep.
line to curb is 2%.
Okay, yeah,
Right-
that's right, I'm
right
going the
now?
wrong way. Yep.
Oh, the proposed.
Proposed will be 2% center line to curb.
Right. So the profile, it's hard to say, but it's less than, call it 6 inches, right over the culvert. We'll be raising the grade, probably somewhere between 4 to 6 inches.
Yeah. and-
Can you kind of see the,
Yeah, and the slope itself is less than 1% change overall. You're looking at negative 0.3%, 6% on one side, and then just over 0.5% slope on the other.
Is there a curb in through there now, or is it just?
It's, nothing's really changing as far as the road's concerned,
there's
except
actually,
for it's getting a little wider, sorry.
yeah,
go ahead.
no, that's all right. The curb is getting replaced right through here.
Yes.
And the curb line, again, changes a little, but not anything extravagant. And it's just in the area of the culvert.
I would venture to guess if the existing curb is there and is in decent shape, we may not even touch it. Because all we're doing is probably go in and mill and overlay or do something similar to that
Yep.
to meet our grade, the contours that we're looking for.
It's a busy intersection at certain times of the day.
Mm.
You know, you're just beyond the intersection, cars line up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the drawings that we've prepared here have plans, so if you're on one side, you know, it's different, right? Below the culvert, we're going across the street. When we're up on top, we're showing the work being done one half of the road and the other half, to allow traffic through there, but it'll be one lane for a short period of time.
And for stuff like this and most of our construction projects, we try to get the word out early and often. Robocalls, signboards, whatever we can do to let everybody know, the website, whatever we can do to let everybody know that, hey, if you can go another way, it's probably a good idea.
And school won't be in session, that's a
Correct.
good thing, yeah, because Mountain View schools.
Right.
And essentially, this culvert's like 5 feet top to the bottom, or 5, 6 feet, something like that, right?
Yep.
And is that circular, or just like 5, 6 foot diameter?
No, it's a box.
It is a
So
box.
it's 12 feet,
Oh, okay.
12 feet wide, 5 feet tall, and then whatever the width of the road is, probably 28, 30 feet, something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at that, the
32.
profile on the stream bed there?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I spent a lot of time in that book as a kid. Big crayfish right in there.
There you go, you don't want to disturb those crayfish. As long as you don't leave sediment at the bottom of the brook from the work, and the fish can do their thing on the
Right.
No, we're sensitive to that. We've done projects. We want to make sure that everyone's picking up after themselves there. Yeah. We won't allow them to keep any equipment there in the even if it's sandbagged and they're there for the week, we won't allow any equipment to just be left down there, you know? We just want to protect the resources that you
Thank
have.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Because that river goes all the way through the town.
Right.
Well, I'm assuming we're gonna see some more updated plans.
Yeah, I think we're pretty close. but-
Yeah, we're submitting 100% to the DOT either this week or next, so we will have updated plans. The only changes the substantial changes, we've added some notes that the DOT asked for on their drawing, standard notes, going from 25% to 100% design. We've modified the biggest design change we've had is the guardrail.
Okay.
Because of the cost, they said, well, you know what, we don't want you to do it's a tricky situation. Things are always changing. We designed this in accordance with DOT requirements. We gave them a price for it. They said it's too expensive. You know, they only have a certain amount of money allotted for the project. And they said, can you find something else? And we said, we can, but it's not DOT approved at the moment. And they said, well, if it was something that was previously approved or federal highway approved, you can proceed with it. So we showed them some options and they selected a certain guardrail type, and that's what we've designed for. So that's the big change, and then we also have a control of water change that kind of just shows our sandbags, one half and then the other half, just like what we've talked about here.
So when those get submitted, we can forward those revised plans along to you as well.
And I'm just, and a lot of that we probably don't need, but I was just looking at it and would like to see an erosion control plan or something.
Okay.
Is that it? I don't think we have that.
There, in the set that we have now, we show where proposed sediment control barriers are. I mean,
Yeah.
if it has to be separate, we can, but we do
Pages
have,
or-
it's on my new page 4. I can leave a set here with you.
We don't have that.
But we are
Yeah, we don't.
showing it now.
No.
Yeah, okay.
No, those are revised plans from what he has here.
It's progress being made, but we are showing proposed sediment control barriers here.
Yeah, so they're shown on your sheet 4 as well.
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Do you have
Yep.
a staging area, or are you just gonna take the lane?
3 or 5,
There is
4 or
no
5.
staging area at this point, no, sir.
Probably use the parking lot of Pine Knoll.
potentially.
Talk them into it.
A lot of the things that we typically, what we do with contractors is we indicate that there is no staging area and that, they're responsible for finding a location suitable for what they need for storage and things like that. If the town had property nearby, we would say, okay, we would talk to Tom and Bruce and it would be, okay, they can use this as a staging area. And I guess we can still talk
Yeah,
about that. so-
they'll probably end up using, Allen Street dump, the brick house there that was boarded up. We own all the property out back there too, so that could be a spot to lay down.
Oh, all right, I got it now. I didn't see that one yet. I got it. Okay.
Writing's so small.
I know.
Yeah, that's,
There's a sanitary sewer.
That's the trade-off for the ease of carrying around 11
Yeah,
by 17
yeah.
sheets.
They are not to scale.
There's a sanitary sewer in the middle.
Yeah, yeah.
That's something we can touch.
No, that's not.
Right.
No, we're
Not
not.
going anywhere near the
We're
sewer.
not touching
Okay.
Nope,
that line.
That would be
nope,
nice.
nope.
Agreed.
oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed it. I was looking before I go to it.
So this is the catch basin. Then on the bottom of the catch basin, you're gonna say this area. Boy, it settles down over there.
Seems pretty straightforward to me.
Walk in the park.
Oh, yeah. I don't anticipate any problems whatsoever.
I think it's just gonna be, once you get in there and,
As it
get
is
going,
now.
just monitor
Anything
the
that goes
erosion
in,
and,
just go
Yes,
right
sir.
out.
which you're all professionals.
They have,
Does anybody else have any questions
a truck that goes
or
in.
comments at this time?
Nope.
No, I'm all set.
Good. All right. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Okay,
Looks
so
good.
the permitting
Appreciate
piece,
the
you
plans.
wanna just have a chat about?
Yeah, we'll get in touch with it. Yeah.
Okay.
You're not planning on starting this end of June, July, right? Most likely?
Yeah, but there, what we would like to do ideally is we want to have any permit conditions in the contract documents so that these contractors are aware of
Okay.
what they have to comply with, right? So if, if we work backwards and we say July, August timeframe is the work, we would want June for submittals. You'd want to have a contract in place by the end of May, which means you probably want to go out to bid at some point in mid-April,
Right.
But you don't need to have, you just need to have the permit in hand. I would say, mid-May, sometime end of April ideally would
Okay.
be.
I was just gonna say, I don't know why we couldn't have it taken care of by our next meeting on the 25th,
Okay, done.
2 weeks from now.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, I'll reach out to you and we'll,
Yeah.
okay.
Whatever information or questions you have, we'd be more than happy to, we're here to work with you, so, whatever it is that you need.
So
Okay.
through the chair, do you have a copy of the blanket NOI? Did you receive a copy in your packet?
Of
that
the NOI?
identifies-
I don't know that I
You haven't
didn't,
submitted it yet, right?
no, our blanket.
That's the
NOI.
bundle notice of
The
intent.
blanket, I'm
So
sorry.
the blanket NOI specifically lists
Yeah,
culverts.
got a couple years left on it or something, right?
When did I?
Year, a couple years. We talked
21.
about that a while ago, too.
January
yeah.
21, I think it
Yeah.
runs out.
Yep.
So, like I said, that specifically lists culvert work, but not necessarily, I think it actually says bypass pumping around a water course, which we're not even doing. So I think the category 5 work that's described here is even more stringent than what we're doing. That's, again, my interpretation. I wanted yours before I said, oh no, we're all set, we don't need a permit.
My experience is, or my interpretation is, generally like large products like, or large projects like this, you're gonna come before, because there's a lot of moving parts.
Correct.
So you guys are being forthright, you're coming before.
Well,
us.
that's what I was saying. That's actually written in here. If we're doing work under
Right.
this category, we have to meet with you. It's a requirement of our permit. So whether we have to do the paperwork again is we were gonna have to do this meeting no matter what, which we would have preferred to do
Right.
anyway, so we're all on the same page. So it's just a question of the permitting process. Are we all set, or does this project require its own NOI?
I don't have that document in this file.
I do.
Could be in here somewhere.
So, you know, given that you might want to discuss this at the table altogether rather than discussing it again next week, the information is all right here. And I have 310 CMR that specifies this, or addresses the particular paragraphs
Sorry, I
of
can't hear.
310 CMR 10.53.
Connie, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you were saying.
That's okay. So I have the sections of 310 CMAR here that addresses the specific paragraphs that are specified in the blanket NOI. So I think if you just took a couple of minutes and looked at this, you'd find that you can settle this evening instead of having them come back, because I think the blanket NOI does cover this request. So
Well,
let me show you
I
the
didn't think they
section.
definitely needed to come back. We could have handled it elsewise, but
I think it's fine.
where, and what are you looking at?
So
The,
that's-
Craig, I'm
the
sorry, Craig.
specific notice of intent?
Yeah, so that's the language of our permit right there. I brought it, I meant to send it to you guys and I did not. But that's the language that I was reading. That's in our filed, notice of intent, approved notice of intent. So, but again, I don't know if everybody interprets it the same way.
Me personally, I'm good with putting it under the bundled NOI as
Yeah.
it should be, making a motion, and, you know, you've laid it out, the precautionary measures you're gonna use, straw. I think
No,
that was the only
yeah, the
thing,
straw
that was the only thing that we
Straw
really
Bottles.
came up with.
Yeah, I'm fine. with it.
And then you're gonna send us a plan with the
The
erosion
100%.
controls marked and.
Yeah, so we
It's
have
already-
the road.
It's already in place.
But we'll send
So-
we'll send the commission a revised set of the documents
Right.
through Tom and Bruce.
And then if we wanna meet on site, or, I mean, whatever you guys wanna do, that's not a problem. If you guys wanna have representation there when we do a pre-con meeting, that's great too. Once the contractor's been selected, then they know you mean business too, you know? Which is, if the more people you get telling them that you're not gonna get away with anything, the better off I think projects go right off the bat.
So Tom, if you could just explain maybe how and why this NOI works to the benefit of the Conservation Commission as well as the town. Like typically, you'd have an applicant who would be coming before you with a notice of intent. So,
Yeah, so, well, I guess the purpose of it is obviously we'd be in here every week.
Every day,
Yeah,
or
right.
every week.
Every
yeah.
week.
No, I-
With,
For emergency
with a
purposes,
list of
general
projects.
meetings,
Yeah, I
that
think
we
we're
have to
familiar of what the blanket
Yeah.
NOI refers to.
So, again,
Bundle.
I
It's
just,
called a bundle
we don't
notice of
do,
Yeah,
intent.
yeah.
most of our work is in those smaller categories where if I feel the need, I'll shoot Craig an email, hey, we're fixing a piece of pipe down by Holland Drive, right? Maybe he stops out, maybe he doesn't, maybe somebody else does. Most of our work is menial, in terms of our effect on the resource area itself.
Right, right. This
This is one we've never done. We are
This is a big.
literally diverting the resource area. So that was why I wanted interpretation on the language of our bundled NOI. That's how I interpreted it. I just wanted to make sure you guys felt the same.
so would you don't have to advertise that, because that was another question we had, right? You don't have to advertise or notify abutters, do you? Because that's part of the NOI, so remember,
And I don't, if
No,
the.
because it's existing.
Because, yeah, I don't think it says that in the thing, but again, we're gonna notify everybody in town.
Because
but,
the roads,
um,
yeah, because of the road.
You know, because of traffic flow, you'd have to.
Right.
Right. So, and that's a reasonable point, if maybe that's something that gets added to category 4, 5, and 6 when we do our permit next year, because this is gonna be up in 8 months. To say, when we're doing that kind of work, we do need to notify abutters, and that, I mean, that's not unreasonable, that's what everybody else has to do. I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
because, and again, I'm not sure, because otherwise, with an NOI, you have to have your public hearing, you have to advertise in a newspaper, you have to advertise in a newspaper of general circulation, you have to notify your abutters, and you have to conduct a public hearing. Does that, and for,
Or is that what we did when the bundled was approved?
thank you, that's what we, so,
So that was our hearing to get that NOI approved
Yeah.
for, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah, we did
so we
years ago.
wouldn't have to do any more advertising or notification. So that's all right.
So I would or I would make a motion that we approve this project with only the special conditions of, the straw, wattles. I don't know if you probably can include notice to abutters in that. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Straw wattles, doubled up.
Do we even need a motion?
I'm sorry?
Do we even need a motion?
I think they're just adding special conditions to an existing NOI. That's all that's the motion I'm making, to just add, on this specific project, add those 2 special conditions to the existing NOI.
So straw wattles and you want a butter notification?
Yeah, I mean, it's not unreasonable, I don't think.
I do not, I agree.
There's a motion been made, has it been seconded?
Second.
Further discussion? I'm still a little bit concerned that a separate NOI is not required, because that we looked at before, and then if we look at this section 2.46, activities likely to have direct impacts to resource areas and will require preparation of an individual RDA or an NOI. And I suppose an RDA is still a possibility also, but it's not specifying the river per se, but it's working bordering vegetated wetlands, certified vernal pools, including grading, filling, excavating, impounding, ditching, draining, or diversion and/or discharge of untreated stormwater directly into resource areas.
That's a lot of what they're doing, is in there.
Well, it's being done now, they're in there making the repairs, correct?
Not yet.
The way
Haven't
it's
started.
working now is everything's being discharged in there.
That was untreated storm, that's
Untreated,
diverting,
correct.
right, we're not
Right.
diverting untreated stormwater, we're just diverting the
Just,
brook.
they're diverting the stream or the river.
And I understand this is the wording that is in this bundled notice of intent. However, I'm not looking at the whole thing right here, I'm just looking at one page, and we were at the other meeting, and I apologize for not bringing it, there was some instructions on this. And I thought it fell clearly into the requirement for an NOI, which is why we talked about it a few weeks ago, when we got together. However, that's just my opinion. And obviously, these things are subject to interpretation.
so I think if you look at the notice of intent that was filed by the Department of Public Works, you'll see under general information, is any portion of the proposed activity eligible to be treated as a limited project, including ecological restoration limited project, subject to 310 CMAR 10.24 coastal or 310 CMAR 10.53 inland? And they checked yes. And they specifically noted 310 CMR 1053D, which does not apply in this case. F, which does, because that's maintenance and improvement of existing public roadway, and if you really wanted to dig deep, and improving inadequate drainage systems under F. And then I, which is also noted, is the maintenance, repair, and improvement, or substantial enlargement except when necessary to meet the mass stream crossing standards. So, and there's more language, I was just jotting down a few points under I, and then K, J doesn't apply. But K does apply because the routine maintenance and repair of road drainage systems, including culverts. So they call it out specifically on the notice of intent, and O and R don't apply. So I think it does cover this particular work, just based on 310 CMAR and what's listed.
Since we aren't seeing it, it's
Yeah, it's
kind of
really
hard to just
Do you
hear
have a copy of your 310 CMAR that we provided to you all?
Not with me.
Where is it?
Where's your
It's
toolbox, Francis?
My whole thing.
Where's your
I
stuff?
left home.
Come on.
Where
I'll
is
bring
your
it next
stuff?
time.
I need a wheelie cart to carry it back and forth.
So,
Francis is gonna come up when the project starts.
Yeah, I would
This
like to
for-
be notified of the pre-con.
Oh,
He's talking about,
I would amend my motion to
We'll have an
include
agent
the
by then.
there isn't any stormwater
pre-construction
going
meeting,
in.
Yeah.
which,
That's right.
that was the third
That's-
thing I could not
that's
think
what
of.
he
As a
suggested,
matter of
so
fact,
please let us know about
The
that.
new
problem at all.
We may have
catch
an
basins they're
agent
gonna
by
put in
then.
are actually gonna
Yeah.
take the
We're looking
stormwater
to
out
hire
of going
Yeah, right.
directly in.
That would be a good job for the agent.
Right, but it goes in there now, but then
Do we have
it's
a,
not going to.
if we have an agent,
but
they
this
could
is,
attend
you know,
that pre-con meeting.
If
Yes.
this work is going to make it go into there, but it's already going in there.
so nobody brought their 310
So
CMAR
what
except
we're
for
actually-
what I
what
have
they're
on
actually
mine.
gonna
I
do
brought
is
it
they're
every
gonna take
every
it
other
out of
week.
there.
I did.
Got lightened
It said
up.
you did?
So Craig,
Okay.
I amended the motion in the discussion phase to include a pre-construction meeting.
You still thinking? we
Okay,
need
is
a
there
notice of intent?
a second to the amendment?
Could we say it again?
I don't know.
We need to, I believe we need to second the
So-
amendment.
Right, so it's just the double straw wattles, the pre-construction meeting, and the notice to abutters. That's the motion that's been made.
I don't know.
Do you have to
So are
rescind the
these
first
gonna
one,
be
or
orders
we
of
just add it?
conditions you're talking
The
about?
existing notice of intent is
Staying in effect, yeah.
my interpretation that it's fine, and these are special conditions for this
Okay,
project.
okay, so special conditions. And
What's your thought?
I really don't know how to say it, but I'd like to include something about being careful about, not allowing anything to get into the river. What do you call that in technical terms? Being
Erosion
attentive
control.
to.
Good workmanship. No.
Pollutants, yeah, that's.
Best management practices.
Yeah, that's,
That's good.
Yeah, particularly
it's-
not allowing
I think it's all laid out.
asphalt and cement
To follow
to
the
get in
water.
there.
Yep,
I mean, it could, right? So, I mean,
It's-
of course, right.
yeah.
they did mention some of that in there about having it dry work.
So then they have to clean out the bottom if something gets in,
Mhm.
that's all.
Yep.
Yeah. So the pre-con meeting would be a good place to mention that, but couldn't it be, you want to be more
You could-
detailed than this?
I could include
Yeah.
BMPs. Best management practices to prevent anything falling into the waterway.
Thank you, that's it. I'll second that motion then.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on that amendment? So I guess right now, before we vote on the original motion, we need to take a vote on the amendment, I believe.
Yes.
All those in favor of amending the motion as discussed?
Aye.
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 Aye. And now the original motion to proceed without the filing of a notice of intent or an RDA. I'll bring it up again to ask if there was any further discussion. And I will just say, I'm not particularly fond of it at this point. I didn't spend a lot of time reviewing this at this point because I was believing that we were gonna go over this tonight. This is the first time I really looked at these plans in any detail. And I did not anticipate making any ruling on this tonight, but that would be just my opinion. Does anybody else have any comments on it?
Well, based upon that and the timeframe, and since this is just becoming in front of us, I would be in favor of spending a little bit more time until the next meeting to clarify the point whether we need an additional NOI or not, even if it means contacting Mass DEP.
Me personally, on this topic, I think that the end game, that this is not gonna change. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna occupy time and money for the town for the end game. They're gonna file this, and this is what's gonna be presented. This is the end, that's the end game. So, me personally, by delaying this is just a time and money. I mean,
Whose time? Our time?
the town's time, our time, this is drawn up by professionals.
I understand that.
I mean, to me, being a layman, this is a pretty straightforward thing.
They already
Right.
have the permit. It's good until next year, right? You're not doing anything outside of what that permit states, correct?
That's
Again,
what's
that
up,
was my
that's what's
interpretation.
up
That's-
for
that's-
interpretation at this, right now. That's what we're trying to decide. That's
I think
exactly
because
it.
they already got the permit in place and a few things that we asked for, I don't see why we just don't vote on it tonight. It's not as if it's the first time they coming forward to us.
We're gonna vote on it tonight.
Yeah, we have to. That's
Yeah, we're
what's
gonna
on
vote
the
on it
floor. We
tonight.
are gonna vote on it tonight.
I-
But this is the first
Discussion.
time this has come before us.
I
This
don't-
particular project.
I have a question. I'm sorry if it's
Quite all right,
my ignorance,
Francis.
but would these conditions that we just spoke about be an order of conditions under that NOI?
Yes.
Frankly, I'm not
Yeah.
exactly sure how that works,
Because
because there's already existing conditions. Can we apply
would
different,
we add
can we
something?
add conditions inside? I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
That's my question, because we need an order of conditions in order to, have these be clear between us. It's not enough just to say it.
Mhm.
So those
No,
conditions.
it's already written. It's already
Conversely,
laid out.
But these
conversely, we work with the DPW all the time. We can have an informal document somewhat that goes back and
Oh,
forth. This is what
okay. We can have a
we want
letter.
to do,
A letter
But, I mean,
listing.
but maybe we can do an amended order of conditions for a specific thing, but we haven't spent a lot of time doing these projects on the bundle notice of intent. Like Tom said, most of it, Craig, we need to do this, you wanna stop by? Sometimes I go see him, or sometimes I drive by and say, go ahead, Tom, looks good. And throw some silt fence up, and they do it and that sort of thing. I don't believe we haven't done anything to this extent under the bundle notice of intent.
I believe you're right.
So, quick question for you, so there's no bundled order of conditions,
No, it would be a new order of conditions, but under the same
right?
NOI.
The order of conditions would be project-specific for
Right,
the
so then there needs a new
site,
NOI then.
right? Your order of conditions
You're
with the
right.
special conditions as stated.
I'm not sure you can do that.
Yeah. There'd have to be a new NOI then, yeah.
No, there's already existing NOI.
We're just
It's-
adding
it's a-
on to
It's
it.
I guess it would
Right.
be an amendment to an existing NOI for this
Yeah.
specific project.
And
The
a
question-
superseding order of conditions or something like that, which, like I said, I'm not sure. Uncharted territory for me. Haven't done it yet. Is there any other comments on approving this without the requirement for a separate filing this evening, which is essentially what we're doing, correct?
I just don't feel like I have enough information. Being new to the board, I don't think I can vote one way or the other, honestly.
One last chance for any comments before we go to a vote.
Well, again, I bring up the point of uncharted waters, we're not clear. So why take a vote to approve something when you're not clear of what you can or can't do until it's researched further?
So, one of the things that I just knew was in here somewhere, but I wanted the wording. Normally, you don't issue special conditions until you have the pre-con meeting, according to the workshop that I attended. They're issued after the pre-con meeting. So things are clear as to where you're at, but that would mess up your whole timeframe.
That would-
I know.
that
would make it difficult.
I know.
For example, if you have a contractor on board,
Yeah.
the contractor at that point could claim, well, I didn't budget that in my project, so
Yep.
I need additional funds or something.
But we do know what your special conditions are going to be.
Yeah.
Right, so,
I'm not sure all of those apply to a bundled notice of intent also.
no, I'm sure it's not,
Yeah.
it's a new one. Yeah, this would be for a new NOI.
All righty. We good with discussion? So now the motion to allow this work to proceed this evening without a separate filing of an RDA or a notice of intent. I believe that's it, correct?
The motion is to let the work proceed under the existing
Right.
bundled
okay.
notice of intent with the special conditions I listed.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
And I don't know. I think both of us, we're abstaining because it's not clear.
So that's considered a negative vote. So you've been defeated to move forward. Okay.
Pardon me?
You have to bring a notice of
Yeah.
intent forward.
Got it.
Yeah. So to abstain is considered a nay vote.
Mhm.
And you had 2 for, right?
Correct.
And you had 2 against.
Mhm.
The two sustained.
So it would end up being 4 to 2. So,
Okay.
okay.
So, and does that pretty
No
much
worries.
cover everything?
Yeah, don't worry, we're fine.
No, hey, listen, I came to get your interpretation and I got it,
Yep.
right?
And,
Give that back to Tom.
As far as any other issues, we're good. I mean, obviously we'll have our special conditions when that time comes, but we'll just get the NOI going and.
no,
that's it.
you don't need to do that yet. We just decided not to approve this. We're gonna check it out and make sure that we
Okay.
know.
Fair
We do
enough.
or we don't, and, we will advise, yeah.
Okay.
We definitely did not rule that we have to do a notice of intent tonight,
Okay.
correct?
We're just not doing the work under the bundled.
Right.
At this point, we
At
just
this
wanna
point.
be sure before we say, yes, we are.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So there's no reason for us to, oh yeah, thank you. There's no reason for us to start doing paperwork yet.
So we're,
We'll
so
just
they're
wait,
gonna come
absolutely
back
I'll wait
before
to hear
us.
from you.
To be clear,
Right.
they're gonna come back
I would
before
like
us
the
and we're gonna make a
original
determination on whether it's covered under the bundle or not?
Yes.
Oh, we just went by, that
And-
was it.
That's interesting.
And well, no, and I guess at this point, we can do some research between now and the next meeting, and we very well could handle this at the next meeting, and you guys don't even need to be here. If we think you need to be here, we'll let you know.
Okay.
Just let it, I mean.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
worry, whatever
available.
we need to do, that's
what I
fine.
see too, that's what I see.
And we'll have the revised plans at that point as well. We'll share that with the town.
Okay,
Oh, that's good. Can you-
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
all right.
Appreciate it. Thank you again for taking us out of order.
You're very welcome.
There's a big line out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Craig, could we all get a copy of the original bundle notice?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, why
That's
did you-
what,
Yep,
that's,
we can examine that and
that's what they're saying.
I thought I had it in,
Thanks again.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
Dave.
Thank
Hi, guys.
you.
See ya.
Thanks, Dave.
I thought I had it in my, my East Long Meadow Conservation Commission folder here, but there is a whole separate, it's a 3 or 4 page document
yeah, I still
pertaining
like
to
see
doing
it.
bundled
Yeah.
notices of intent.
Yeah,
I don't see it here, like, I know I definitely have a hard copy of it home, and I will be sure that gets dispersed to everybody
Oh, we
also.
got it going right now. It's going to be coming to your email, okay?
Yep.
So
Thank you.
have
And
it.
to
Welcome.
all of us? Is it to all of us, Ken?
Yes, it is.
What is that you are sending, their notice of intent?
Their blanket NOI.
Theirs.
The blanket one,
Their
yeah.
blanket.
Okay,
The
yeah.
DPW blanket NOI, so you have it.
Yep.
Okay?
Yes.
But like I said, I have this other document pertaining to
oh,
that.
I thought we just always got one, yeah, I saw it in the email.
Okay.
It was like the
I get
draft.
it because
All righty.
Oh, okay.
Of course, then again, I think I'm gonna buy one.
So it's on my phone, okay.
Okay, side conversation stop.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is all of these certificates of compliance for the fields at Chestnut.
Craig, is there a point where I should recuse myself?
I was gonna say, I don't believe you have
Yeah,
to leave the
I don't
room,
think
you
you-
can
I don't
just,
have to.
Oh, is that what
yeah,
that
you
means?
just can just say
Oh,
that,
just-
Yeah.
yeah. There is a
I think
procedure,
if she has to go sit in the audience. if she refuses.
I mean,
there is a
That'd be kind of
procedure though,
interesting.
and I'm sure you know that if you wanna do this thing, but I think you have to file a piece of paperwork to say, yeah, I live there, but it is not gonna affect my judgment.
Right.
I can still vote on it, but, you know, but
Yeah.
this one being what it is,
Yeah, okay.
Yes, we have that paperwork. If I had known that you were, you have to let us
I
know
just
these
looked,
things.
I just looked this afternoon.
Because we do
I
have
just saw-
forms, and they come
Yeah.
from the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so you need,
It didn't look, but,
you need a recusal form. It's called a
Okay.
recusal form?
okay.
Okay. And you're a resident? Okay, we'll send it to you, Erin.
Okay.
So anytime something like that, if you have questions, ask us, because we facilitate. That's our role.
Okay.
If you're sick, let us know. We'll let everybody else know. Because what happens is, if you don't let us know and we arrive and there's no quorum,
Right.
we could have made preparation to let everybody else know so that we cancel the meeting or postpone the meeting, and we put a sign on the door.
Right.
We take care of those details. So we facilitate information as the staff. All right?
Yep.
Okay, guys, ladies,
Okay,
gentlemen?
item number 1, certificate of compliance for 7 Ribbon Lane. At the fields at Chestnut, there is a letter on file that it says this unit does not fall with any wetland resource area or associated buffers. Therefore, I will entertain a motion for approval of the certificate of compliance for 7 Ribbon Grass Lane.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Are these in order?
No, there's
Mine were a little
three.
jumbled.
Because this doesn't say,
It will say.
There's a 3
You can
ribbon
do-
lane.
On the second.
Need to go
We just
to,
did 7.
I know.
I don't see it.
We're doing order.
Ribbon Way.
3
I
was
see.
first.
Oh, there it is, okay. I didn't see it.
we're gonna go a little slow and just sign these all as we go.
Don't forget 3. 3 was the first one.
Pardon?
You just did 7, and there's a 3.
I did 7 because it was item uno on the agenda.
Oh, it's on.
We're going by the agenda.
Glasses,
All
Fred?
right, so
Oh, you got
now,
glasses.
Slow down.
well, I'm looking at,
Oh,
I'm looking at the pile of papers. Order of the filing.
Okay, so that's number 1.
No.
Look at you.
forget your pen?
While we're signing, do a quick project monitoring
All right.
one. I'll just let you all know that, I mentioned it to Tom before the meeting. So far, the erosion controls appear to be holding up at Hidden Ponds. But the farthest lot, 19, I think right at the little rotary there, he's actually got a foundation in there.
In the rock.
But, and it seemed like it went okay for the digging, but he didn't even think about putting a tracking pad in, and it's pretty ugly.
Oh,
There's just red clay all over the street. I mentioned it again to Tom
Wow.
tonight, but I did send him a text about it and a picture of it.
I have nightmares about that whole project.
Yeah.
I do.
It's- Yeah. the red clay's going into that catch basin.
It's insane.
Oh, I know.
Going all down that hill too.
The stuff's pretty much prevented from going into the basins, because he has them all blocked off now.
Francis, if you ever want to go over there.
I do, I was
I'd like
waiting to
take
hear
a
from
look.
you.
Yeah, I'd like to take a
Email me
look. I will.
when you're free,
I will.
because I have less of a schedule than you do.
That's just it, if you guys wanna pass it around.
Bring your fishing pole.
Boots.
What is it,
No,
the
he's
very
not
end of the
signing.
cul-de-sac?
Yeah,
I can't.
Oh,
Thanks.
an extension of Redstone, not into the development.
Oh, that's on the,
Oh, sorry.
I
Lot
got you.
19, I
got
think?
you, yeah.
Okay, the next one that we had on the agenda was a request for certificate of compliance for 3 Ribbon Lane. And there is a letter on file from Michael Smith, again saying that the unit does not fall within any resource areas or associated buffers. So therefore, I will entertain a motion to approve the request for certificate of compliance for 3 Ribbon Grass Lane.
So moved.
Second.
see that?
Any discussion?
I have.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
It's been fairly dry though lately, but I'm assuming soon we'll be getting some rain.
Friday.
Yep. Oh, and you went and saw it already too, right?
Yeah.
That's the only foundation he's got in?
Yes.
Yep. The rest of the streets are pretty red there too. It's, it does just bother me a bit, because it is really night and day compared to if you drive into Bella Vista. You hardly see any dirt on the road whatsoever. And I know it doesn't show up as much because it's not the red clay, but there's at least a half a dozen tracking pads in Bella Vista.
Tracking pads, Craig, are they the things that go at the entrance of the?
Yeah, it's just a
Construction.
bunch of stones they
Yeah, we
put
had
in there.
seen that in one of the workshops we went to.
Mhm.
And the road was a mess because they didn't have any.
Right.
And those, what that falls in is the BMP, Best
Okay,
Management
right.
Practices.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much in every order of conditions we write.
Yeah.
This particular one here, though, that we're talking about at Redstone, is like a lot of these other subdivisions. We don't have jurisdiction over the entire project. We only have our areas
Right, and we
that
track
are
the
actually within
wetlands.
buffer zones
Right,
and that sort of
okay.
thing. Okay, the next one.
No, she can't tell you.
Oh, that's right, this is.
The next one would be request for certificate of compliance for 18 Ribbon Grass Lane. And again, does not fall with any resource area or associated buffers. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the request for certificate of compliance.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Are we signing 3 pages or 2?
2.
Oh, okay. I thought I was doing.
There's just 3 tabs, that's all.
Oh, that's good.
It's only similarities to a doctor that I have. Signature you can't read.
Didn't this whole area used to be a farm?
Yes.
So, yeah, potato farm. That's what I heard, yeah. Yeah, World War II, all the Germans used to work on this.
All right, the next one is I'll entertain a motion for the approval of a request for certificate of compliance for 12 Clover Lane. Again, there's a letter saying it doesn't fall within the wetlands resources or associated buffers.
You skipped a couple.
Ah, just going in the order in my pile, sorry.
But we'll get to them.
Okay. That would be, 12 Clover is item 6. Sorry about that.
Did exactly what I did.
Uh-huh.
And you don't need glasses.
Made in second, you wanna vote on it?
Yeah, I do. I need cheaters.
Oh, you do?
Yep. Francis made the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Tony. All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright. We'll get 12 Clover. That one.
46 is the next.
Do we do 30 broadleaf, right?
That's on the
These are yours.
No.
17.
Wait a minute, what do you,
That was in my pile over here. I think that one's all signed there.
30 broadleaf.
oh, okay. We're on 46 is the next one.
Right?
46 Fields.
Oh, is it?
18 we did.
I would imagine, I don't
It's a
know,
lot.
or developed. I think they're,
Being sold, she said.
oh, they're selling them?
Maybe there's a sale of these lot referenced units, it's a lot. All those units are being sold, right?
A lot of people moving out, huh?
Some people are moving in,
Oh, that's,
And internet.
new construction,
Oh, there's new construction.
yeah.
oh, I thought they were selling.
Oh, no, not a lot, so.
I don't see the community house here.
Don't
The
rub it
heated
in.
pool. Nobody has that.
I don't know how the other developments get away with it.
They're nice.
The construction's excellent.
Huh? Yeah.
Construction's excellent.
I remember when I was on the fire department for inspections. Dan Royer was a
Okay,
big project.
Do we do 30 broadleaf?
I'm in the house.
Yes, that's fine.
What are you getting for $500,000? Cabinets out of a box, 20-foot ceilings.
No, we didn't.
no, we didn't do it yet.
Yep, okay.
They're out of
Oh,
order.
what's the
I
matter?
got 30 right
I
here.
go,
Yep.
I was just at Chapel's place, I left his with her.
Same thing.
1730,
They're out of order on this.
no, I know, I'm saying 46 Fields,
7,
That's it.
that's it,
Yeah.
3 left.
So we're doing 30 right now? Craig,
I'm not sure, Jeff's checking.
are we going by the agenda? or by the
we're
order?
going by the
I'm
agenda.
trying to go back to go by the
So
agenda,
it's
my
30.
fault. I just went by the order they were in the pile.
30 is
It's
done.
30 now.
30 is done.
No, we haven't.
There's a great one at,
I didn't think we did 30 yet. We didn't do 30.
Here, Craig.
No, you got the signature sheet.
30 has been done.
Oh,
Is it a
We're on
Franklin one?
46.
okay.
There's one at Harvard,
46
too.
Fields, right?
Harvard.
I'm doing a webinar next Tuesday.
We're on 46 Fields.
Yes.
Okay.
No, we haven't done 30,
I didn't think so.
we haven't done 30.
But we
We
signed it.
definitely haven't.
We
Well,
signed it.
It's signed, the
That's-
sheet is signed.
I wanna
I-
go to that one.
that
When
was a
is it?
mistake
It
then.
was.
Is it in
We haven't done it,
It's a lot.
because I've been putting them as we've done them right here.
Yeah, I'm going to that one.
Yeah.
30 has not been done,
Okay.
so that was
we
signed,
signed the wrong one.
so,
You want to go through them and look?
you can play the recording back, I'm just telling you.
One, but you haven't made the vote yet for 30.
I don't think the motion's even been made.
No,
Well, the sheet's been signed.
we're out of order is what it is.
We went,
There's
we
two
went,
different orders.
we went from 30 to the Clover. We skipped 46.
I'm doing the same thing you're doing.
I beg to differ, but it doesn't matter, we can vote on it again.
If everybody stopped talking, we'd be just going along. We've got all these side conversations going on. 30 has been done.
Did you do all these? Did you say, or?
No, this was, I was showing them. Thought you had.
30 was also non-jurisdictional, is also non-jurisdictional.
Thirty.
So.
What do you have that's been done, Jeff?
7 ribbon, 3 ribbon, 30 broadleaf, and 12 clover.
So what are we left with?
7, 3,
How about 18 ribbon?
18 ribbon has not been
18,
done.
no, 18's done.
It is done, we have 17.
18's done.
I think that's where we just missed them up, 18 and
Yeah,
30.
and 12 Clover's done. 30 was
Yeah,
not
we had
done.
12 clover, yeah.
Those are the 4 we've done.
That's what, we
7
just-
and 3, 18 and 12.
I think we just flip-flopped 30 and 18.
Okay, if we go by the pages in the agenda instead of the other pages, I think we'll be
Yep,
better off than, because
Definitely.
what's in your packets and what I have in order here are 2 different things.
Yep.
I'm going by the agenda, this is set by the agenda.
yep. I missed that on one of my thumb, tried to do that, but then I missed it.
Okay,
All right.
46 is the next one I have that has not been done.
Okay, pertaining to request for a certificate of compliance for 46 Fields Drive in East Long Meadow. This one here does have it, the wetlands monuments have been set in accordance with the development plans, and an as-built plan of the building is to be recorded in Hampden County Registry of Deeds. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. And this is signed and stamped by Michael Smith of Smith Surveyors. I believe these are the drawings, some of which are attached. Does anyone have any questions or comments pertaining to this one? I'll entertain a motion for approval of the certificate of compliance for 46 Fields Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now you have 18 that still has not been signed, correct, Jeff?
I'm playing this out. Okay, there's 46.
What's left is 17,
17
30.
broadleaf and 30.
30 is
that's what's
done.
left.
30's done?
30 is done for the fourth
Okay.
time.
I believe we actually voted on 18, but. the
30
paperwork-
signed, but 30
Yeah.
was never voted on.
Yeah. I do believe that's what happened, and we just, we signed 30 instead of 18 because of the order. So therefore, I'm gonna just bring that one up again. That 30 was also non-jurisdictional. I'll entertain a motion to approve 30 broadly.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And so we can just sign the 18 ribbon one, same thing, non-jurisdictional.
What is this one? I'm not even looking at what I'm signing.
And that would leave us, yes, with 7 broadly. So yes, out of these 7, only one of them was jurisdictional, which depending on what subdivision we're in, sometimes that's fairly typical. Great Woods would kind of be the same way. I would say up there, 20% of the lots probably fall within our jurisdiction. But what happened with that one is they probably did 4 or 5 notices of intent for that entire development. But so the vast majority of that development is out of our jurisdiction also. And it is one of the things that would be great if we could get applicants to file separate notices of intent obviously it would cost them a fortune to run a separate ad in the paper for every single one of them and have all kinds of extra public hearings and whatnot, so we kind of, at this point, we can't really force the people to do that unless a town bylaw was passed, and I believe that would meet with some resistance to try and get that passed. The last one that we have is request for a certificate of compliance for 17 Broadleaf Circle. A letter from Smith Associates is in saying it doesn't fall within the resource area or associated buffers. So I'll entertain a motion for approval of the certificate of compliance for 17 Broadleaf Circle.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Next item on the agenda was new public hearings. We had no new submittals. Oh, we're waiting to get one back, right?
Yep.
Okay. Project monitoring, I mentioned that the one pertaining to hidden ponds. Other than that, I haven't really done a tremendous amount in the last couple of weeks. Did anybody else have any comments?
No.
Nope, good to go. And the next one on our other business is review plans for comments for the planning board from the Conservation Commission. Does anybody have any comments for the two that were submitted? They were both site plan waivers.
One was Sayers.
Yeah.
There's an enforcement order on that, and there's a pending revision of NOI. Can they hear that before we make a ruling?
This would pertain to the one that was filed by Mr. Sayers, who has the enforcement order for the barn. However, the waiver of site plan applies to the house, where he's planning on putting in an office.
What's the address on that? I think I was absent.
Hayland Terrace.
It's all the same, 34 Halon, yeah.
Okay.
The problem is that the house sits up here on the hill. His property goes down, follows a sliver across, which encompasses part of the pipeline easement, and then goes out, and then comes out on Pease Road.
Okay.
Okay? His house is up here. The storage barn is down here. It's all under 34 Hallen because it's all connected. Okay, the situation is that this was proposed to us and was approved by the Conservation Commission as a storage barn, unfinished storage area upstairs with gravel driveway. No deck, no side stairway going up to the deck. Okay? What you have there now is a barn, or I will say, a detached building with a paved driveway, an outside stairway going up to a very large deck. The building was proposed to us with no water, sewer, electric. It was just a storage barn. It has all those amenities. It has central air, which would lead me to believe
Someone's living there.
it has indoor toilet or bathroom facility. If I'm going to put in an air conditioning unit, I would assume that my storage barn is going to have insulation and drywall and be completely finished.
But look, can I be clear on something, Connie? So that, he's coming before us before the planning board for a home office, correct?
Waiver of site
So-
plan for a home office.
So I mean, I suppose he hasn't been before us for an RDA, but I don't know how the,
It's been filed.
so Jeff, would you want to make a motion to
I'm not making.
make the
I'm-
comment to the
Well,
planning board?
I'm not making any motion. All I'm doing is this is my comment to the Conservation Commission about this situation, okay? Mr. Sayers is applying to the planning board for a site plan waiver to put a home office into his residence, okay? Which the zoning bylaw says it has to go into your primary residence. However, what's to distinguish between this outlying building and the residence up on the hill, which all has the same number?
So if I may respond to that, Mr. Sayers came in and apparently his daughter is an exemplary pitcher for softball. And he said that he's created a space for her to pitch because, an indoor arena, because she pitches all year. So it is climate controlled, if you will, but that's what that is the purpose of that structure. That's what he told us, so.
I thought the
And if-
vehicles were supposed to be kept in there.
That was what he told us when he came in, and he said that the office, because I asked him, and I said, where's your office going to be located? And he
Right.
said, within the dwelling unit, so.
The dwelling, the house, or the dwelling, the barn?
The house, the house.
Okay, and I'm just gonna throw my personal comment on that out. Mr. Sayers is the owner of East Coast Construction Company. Okay, Mr. Sayers built all of Halen Terrace, including his own house. Okay? Surrounding this storage barn are multiple vehicles, all with his construction company name on the vehicles. And I'm just saying that,
Careful.
Isn't this up to the building inspector? I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
is he
Yeah,
doing
this
that
all
good?
sounds like it's out of our purview.
Yeah.
Personally, to me,
I wonder why is
like
it
this,
coming to us?
this is something the planning board's gotta deal with, the whole, whether he's running a business out of there or not, I mean,
It's actually-
our issues are with the building he built,
On wetlands or something.
the things that have come before us, but as far as the office, me personally, I don't,
Well, the paved driveway.
that's
the big
something the
thing.
planning board's
Which
gonna
you
deal
went
with.
against your-
Me
You
as a
went against our
conservation commissioner, I have no
initial-
comment on his
And-
office and what he's
stone
gonna
and
do
gravel
was
inside his house.
And we're kind of talking about two completely separate issues here.
Right.
Yes.
You know, an application for a home office is an application for a home office in his primary residence.
Okay.
The
so-
accessory building, excuse me, please. The accessory building is something that a revised notice of intent has been submitted, copies have been sent out to us, and he has revised it from the original plan for where we have an enforcement order, which is really a completely other topic. Then this home office, which we definitely need to be discussing. I believe they are on the agenda for our next meeting. And I guess that's all I'll say about it, and I won't even, and I'm not gonna say anything else.
So are we gonna comment to the planning board or
So
not?
essentially, this goes back to what I was saying at the last meeting. It's completely out of our jurisdiction. We cannot comment on these things as a conservation commission to the planning board for a waiver of site plan.
I agree.
I still don't even know why we're being asked to comment on them. We can comment them on as citizens, but we cannot comment on home offices and waivers of site plans as the Conservation Commission when they have nothing to do with any area that is remotely in our jurisdiction. So, in my opinion, these two items again are both just no comment.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
And I guess I would still like to reiterate, I just do not understand why we are spending time commenting on these things when we should really never have a comment on them. It just makes no sense whatsoever. And I guess I would like to discuss it with the planning board and ask why they are requesting that we comment on these things.
Shall we add you to the next agenda, the work session?
Pardon me?
Shall we add you to the work session of April 7th, and you can voice your concerns to the planning board?
Sure.
Okay, we'll do that.
Next item is director's update.
Hold on. So there was two things there that we just did?
No,
I thought it was one.
we
You
just
said
did
two.
one thing, yeah.
All right, one thing, okay.
The accessory building with the enforcement order and revised notice of intent is on the agenda for the next meeting.
Oh, okay.
All right, so just for my own understanding, because
Oh,
clearly I'm having trouble following.
Pardon
I
me.
thought there was two issues for the comments
Yes.
for the planning board. Right.
excuse me,
All
I
right.
jumped the gun. There was
Okay.
another waiver of site plan for something, I forget what it even is, but it's non-jurisdictional.
So I'm good with a no comment on that one as well, or say nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say.
Right.
So update from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission on the conservation agent, please.
Oh, good.
So, today we had a meeting. Eric Weiss from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission and Bob Markle, who is the town administrator for the town of Hampden, because we are discussing the shared staffing for conservation agent. And today we discussed, we had a preliminary discussion in regard to the job description. And I just
Sorry,
have.
who did you have a meeting with?
Eric Weiss, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, and Bob Markle from town of Hampden. Because Pioneer
What's Bob
Valley,
Markle's role there?
town administrator, interim town administrator.
Interim?
Yeah, yeah. So Hampden would like to hire a conservation agent, and they are also interested in sharing an agent with East Long Meadow, and it could be approached in two different ways, or a couple of different ways. One, that staff person would be an employee of Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, or the two towns share two part-time staff people. So working out those details. And I was surprised today because two members of the Conservation Commission came to the meeting, and I didn't know they were going to be coming. So I felt that it might be good for some members of our Conservation Commission to get to know some of their members of the Conservation Commission. So we have our next meeting on April 7th for further discussion. And I would be pleased if one or two of you might be able to attend the meeting. It's at 10 a.m. in the morning, and it's April 7th.
What day of the week is that?
Tuesday. April 7th, let me just double check on that. This meeting is going to be held at the Town of Hampden Town Hall. And April... sorry.
So Ken, Bob Markle is the town administrator for Hamden?
He is, he's the
Interim, interim?
Yes. I'm
In-
sorry. Go ahead.
Interim meaning, what is the time? Was he not previously employed?
The mayor of Springfield,
Tom,
a long time ago.
yes, many years ago, 1984. My daughter was there.
He took Mary's place when she left.
He's worked in a variety of municipalities. He's worked in Kittery, Maine. He taught at American International College, I think after he was mayor. I have to double check on my dates, I'm sorry, it seems to have dropped off.
No, it's not till April, I guess you could just advise us
I'll
of the
advise
date.
you, yeah, but it's,
When is the meeting?
Could you email that out to us and a copy of the job description that's proposed, so we can
We
look at
haven't
it?
They haven't
Finalize the
proposed
job.
it. When is the meeting?
Oh,
they have fallen off my calendar. April well, I'm gonna double check and confirm on
So
Tuesday.
so it's an open invitation to all of us?
Well,
Or you would like 2 members?
I'll send it to all of you, and then if you just
And you will reply
chime
and
on
you
back
decide.
individually and let me know who can make it. It's an hour, it's 10 to 11, and I thought it was April 7th and May 13th, but it seems.
They're during the daytime?
10
Yes,
a.m.
sir, because we are staff that are meeting. So remember, Eric Weiss is from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. They work a weekday, and Mr. Markle works a weekday. So
Oh, I thought,
we're
oh,
inviting you as a courtesy, because I was caught off guard today to
Okay.
see that I had Conservation Commission members from Hamden, and I thought,
Okay.
well, where are my Conservation Commission
so
members?
then send the emails out, I guess,
right.
to
So-
invite people,
so-
but I won't be there.
Okay, thank you, but I'm sure we will have.
The only other thing I would suggest on that is if
I can
you were
do
looking
it.
at doing the job description, it was just sent out by Mark Stinson like 6 months ago, where there was the part-time one for East Hampton, I believe, and a full-time one for Northampton.
Amherst.
Amherst, that's what it was. So if you might want to find those resourceful under that, whatever you want to do.
So just let me tell you, Eric collected several job descriptions, and so he
Okay.
compiled information from several, so that we could have a discussion on what might work for the two communities. And I think I asked if, when you were at the MACC, if you had an opportunity to speak with others and see what, pretty much they say the same thing.
There weren't any, and
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
it was so crowded, and
Yeah.
everything was boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I
So,
understand.
Long Meadow, Wilbraham have no interest?
No,
None? Have they been,
no, they don't. Because
have you
again,
reached out to them?
Pioneer Valley has. So, because it's, so we had a meeting a couple of months ago in January to discuss, or December, just to discuss shared use possibilities, as well as other services that are offered by Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. Different towns came to this meeting, and a couple of us said, hey, we'd like a shared conservation commission, shared conservation commission agent, that being Blandford, that has since bowed out because they felt that it was just too much of a distance, Hamden and myself. So we've continued to chat about this opportunity. So that's where it started, because remember, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission is our regional planning agency, and they work with planning departments. And so we're their point of contact, you know, and you being under Planning and Community Development Director, you know, I guess you might say I have a voice for you at the table. So, it's a point of sharing information from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. They also share to the commissioners, like George Kingston is a commissioner for the town of East Long Meadow, and they're at a different level, so I don't know what else to say, except for the regional planning agency provides services for the communities, the municipalities in Pioneer Valley. That's one. Other RPAs serve other parts of the state, Franklin County is a COG, it's a Council of Governments, so they deal with the counties, the communities up in Franklin County. You know, southeastern Massachusetts has SERPED, Boston has Metropolitan Area Planning
Okay.
Commissioner, so there are RPAs around the state, and the role of the RPA is to actually provide funding and services to the communities. We were awarded three DLT grants, one to create or, you know, talk about the creation of this position. We were awarded a housing assistance study DLT funding grant, and we were also we're also continuing our participation in the large-scale ground-mounted solar working group. So they get a pot of money and it's distributed to different communities, but the different communities have to apply for this funding through the district level technical assistance, and also there's local level. So they get the money from the feds or from the state, feds send it to the state sends it to the RPAs, and the RPAs send it to municipalities. So that's how we get some of our funding, and we try to stack our funding because generally when it comes to grants, you're never gonna get 100%. So you try to get you try to seek grants from as many different resources as you can, 33% here, 33% there, 33% elsewhere to get that 100% to fund whatever it is. So that's kind of an overview of the grant process in the area. And it's actually, you've written grants before, Francis, so you know how they go. You never get 100% funding, you have to seek, because each grantor wants to make sure that they're not the only one giving you money.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's the overview of why staff typically participates with RPA, because they're helping the professional employees, the professional staff, who in turn assist the volunteer boards. Okay? Is that clear, Craig? Are you still having trouble digesting this information?
I'm perfectly clear with what it is.
Okay, good. Do you have any other questions for me that I can answer?
Nope.
Okay, terrific. Yeah,
So what's changed since you explained all this last time is that there's not 3 towns, there's only 2.
that is correct.
And now with the 2, we have to, there's meetings going on, or your thought was, should we go through the planning commission, or should we, the 2 towns, decide how we're going to
No.
handle? No?
No,
I mean, I
it
thought you
still is
said
being
that.
spearheaded
Okay.
by Pioneer Valley Planning Commission.
Either way.
But ultimately is to be decided is if the staff person is going to be an employee with full benefits from Pioneer, et cetera, from
Right,
Pioneer
right,
Valley Planning
that's what
Commission.
I'm trying
Or
to
with
say.
the 2 towns be
Taking it.
employing a part-time staff person. That does, and when we have part-time staff, there are no benefits associated with the part-time staff.
Okay.
So if you were applying for this position, who are you gonna work for? Hampden and East Long Meadow, or are you
As
gonna
a
work for Pioneer?
part-timer?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So, working through that piece, we've got a general job description. I don't have anything electronic, but I can try and get something to you with my notes on it. But again, what he did was he cobbled together different job descriptions to try and arrive at.
Right. But I would just suggest whoever the 2 members of the commission can go, get a copy of that before the meeting, so they're on track with what's gonna happen there, right? Because
Right.
I mean, I don't know
Right,
about
you would
others, but
get an
I wouldn't wanna
agenda-
walk into a meeting and
Right.
be the one person who doesn't know what the heck's going on.
Right, so you get materials distributed to you in advance of the meeting.
Good, okay.
Okay.
Whoever goes, so you'll
Okay.
let us know.
I will.
Thanks.
So again, I don't know why it's not showing up on my calendar, but.
Okay, thank
so
you.
You are welcome. And so I think we've exhausted the update on the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission shared use
Yes, we have.
conservation. Okay. It's getting late.
What is this, conference slides, unit 105, writing effective orders of conditions?
Well, we had thought, since you didn't have much on your agenda, that it might be an opportunity for Francis and Aaron to present the slides, the PowerPoint demonstration that was given at the MACC conference. But I think we could move that to another evening, because again, it is getting late. And in regard to the review of the Conservation Commission accounts 8204, 8203, and 2901, those were provided to you at the last meeting. Did
Yep,
you keep them?
those shouldn't have been on the agenda, yeah. We're doing those once a month, yeah.
Okay, and there,
Sorry,
no, go
Craig,
ahead.
sorry. Could I make a suggestion about this, going over the fundamental units that we went to at the conference? We both took notes. I have my notes typed up, and now everyone has copies of the slides. I just say take it off the agenda completely, and we can send a copy of our notes by email to the other members.
Do you
How's
want to do
that?
that?
Yeah, that would
Is that
save a lot
okay
of
with
time.
everybody?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
fine.
I didn't go to the writing.
But you went plan and review.
I did.
So I did the
I'll take it in my
OCC, the
Yeah,
OOCs.
Okay.
Did you ask for it to be put on the agenda?
No.
I
Did
did.
you?
I was asked.
I did, I did, Craig. I will take full ownership of that. I felt that since Francis and Aaron had gone to this, it would be good to give a report of what they had.
I just asked a question.
No,
That's all
I'm
I
just
did.
telling-
I went to the
So-
buffer zone one too, which was very good for,
Right.
Yeah.
So if we send everybody emails of what our tips and notes.
yeah.
Yeah, so send them to us, and we will
Yeah.
distribute them.
Okay.
Okay, I think we've already sent you the slides, right? You all have the slides? We did.
Well, they're printed out. so-
all the time.
I got
Oh.
5 pairs all over.
Okay, so send them to us and we'll send them along, okay? Because sometimes as you.
There's some good tips. yeah.
Exactly, and sometimes, it might be one new thing that you learn at an event that you take away, and you might know so much more, but there's this one new thing.
So it was very
All
helpful.
good.
So this review of accounts is out, right?
Correct. We were just gonna receive those once a month.
Okay.
There didn't necessarily need to be discussions on them at every single.
Do we have bylaws? Our Conservation
One.
Commission?
Yes,
10.0, yeah.
And is it online?
yes.
It is.
Okay, good, thank you.
We're
It's
gonna
under
dis-
the general bylaw. It's
Craig,
embodied
we're
within
gonna
the
discuss
general.
Hammond Road. Is that next?
Next item was the review of the draft annual report. Jeff sent some comments out. After I sent mine, did everybody get a copy of Jeff's?
No,
didn't know.
that's why I printed them.
No.
Okay, here's a couple of extra copies. there.
There's, should be one for everybody.
2 pages?
Yeah.
2 pages.
Thank you.
Are you missing the second page?
No, it's on the back.
you.
It's printed
Ah.
both sides.
Okay, I didn't do that with the ones I did.
There you go.
Jeff, did you send them to us also?
No, because I just did them just before the meeting. When I printed it out just before I left.
So if everybody could take a look at those,
And I sent an email to
and
you.
yes, you did, and,
Do you guys like copies?
But I didn't print it out.
oh, yeah. And send,
Copies, Craig?
But you got it.
I got one, I'm good to go.
You got my email?
Yes, I did. So if some people could comment back to myself in the next day or two?
After reviewing this?
Yeah, because it needs to be submitted to the town manager for Monday, the 16th.
Okay, so we can do this and get back to you.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeff.
Nice job, nice
So I
job.
just embellished a little bit on what Craig wrote.
Thanks, Jeff.
The next item, I don't, did anybody bring anything for revising the land acquisition policy?
No.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that on the agenda, if we could work on that. Discussion of the land on Hamden Road. I don't believe it's anything we need to take a formal vote. It's borderline if it meets the criteria. We've done a little bit of straw polling here, but at this point, you know, I wouldn't feel comfortable as a conservation commissioner approaching community preservation for funds for this, since it is, we've been informed that it's pretty much being sold at somewhat market value, maybe a little bit of a discount. There's no great bargain here,
No.
you know, and so if it's something for the rec department or somebody else that they wish to attempt to purchase it, that would be fine, but I think at this point, we'll just send them a letter saying, sorry, at this point, we can't recommend it for conservation land.
I didn't realize until after they came in that it's not a good location really for a conservation area,
It's borderline.
borderline.
It has some good points and some bad points,
Okay,
yep. Ta-da, doop. Procedures for
I can draft a
planning.
letter to
Print
them.
that out next time.
Yep.
I mean, how many
Um,
acres was that, 7?
The only other thing that I had that's not on the agenda was if you guys wanted to give a quick 2 cents on what you thought about the conference this year.
Being a new person, and I did all fundamentals. And I thought, I mean, even the opening speaker on climate change, everything was very informational and actually useful. Like useful as far as reading topographic maps, useful as far as, I thought it was terrific. And the presenters gave us great information. You'll see in the packets,
Yeah.
yeah.
inspired Francis and I to suggest we bring an engineering ruler to some of our meetings
Yeah, because of.
for
the
topography,
plans, yeah.
learned how to calculate slope. So, I don't know, I thought it was terrific.
You went to the buffer zone.
I went to the buffer
workshop,
zone,
which
and
is
what they had us
a
do-
fundamental, but it's a really good one.
It
Yeah.
actually was listed as a fundamental.
It was?
Yeah.
Not when I took it, okay.
And what they had us do was actually go through presentation, site, we all got big maps, and we all had to, all the commissioners had to give their insight on what they see, how they, what they thought, how they could fix it, and I found that very helpful as a learning tool.
Right. And they, both in.
Yeah, we both did.
Both in the plan review and site visit procedures and in her workshop, they suggested that everyone have one of these. And so we each bought one. But it's definitely worth having, and it will help us when we delineate buffer zones and work, you know.
It's new, it's actually
Yeah.
revised.
I was gonna say, I haven't seen that
It's
before.
Yeah, it's new.
Yeah, and they said it's updated really well. But it was true that the conference was extremely well attended. And the speakers were very professional. I mean, some of the technical things were way above my head, but it was good to know that you could learn that, you know, if you take your time and figure it all out.
Yep.
And they always ended the class or the workshop with practical experience. You know, they put us in small groups and had us do practical things. And, so and it was time to take notes as well as have all the slides. It was a great conference, very fruitful. That's it,
It was awesome.
yeah.
I won the grand prize.
You did?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
You're too lucky.
I won so much stuff there last year. When she read it, she goes, "Are you kidding me?"
What'd you win?
It was a kayak and
Oh, the
a
kayak.
Charles River tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I donated to another
I won.
nonprofit.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
I
there
was
were-
gonna donate it back, but I did another.
Do you
There were
want
a
one?
lot
You
of-
need one?
There were a lot of,
You need a kayak?
I need to find a place where to kayak first.
Oh,
there
okay.
were a lot of.
Hidden ponds.
and-
Oh, yo, you took the words right out of my mouth.
In the boathouse. They'll all have it. You can buy a house there, and you could start your own kayak team.
There were a lot of
I'd have to come in front of a
booths that highlighted
No,
other
no.
nonprofits and
You can do
also
whatever you want, the
companies.
diving board's
Yeah.
still there.
I think it
remember-
would have been a good
Yeah.
experience for Margaret. Margaret Ryan was gonna attend as a student,
Mm-hmm.
but she couldn't, she had a conflict, something else going at the same, and tonight she's playing her basketball championship, so.
Ah, good for her.
Oh, you know what I ran into? Mark Noonan?
Oh, yeah.
He was between us, I think, in high school.
But she'll be with us,
Yep.
she's still planning on coming to
Yep.
meetings.
Mark would be a good resource for Connie for a potential agent. He's the agent for West Springfield, and he was Westfield's agent,
I thought West Springfield said they
Mark
didn't have an
Noonan?
agent.
Mark Noonan.
He was.
And West Springfield's very proactive. They provide him with a
Long Meadow must have it.
hybrid vehicle
Maybe
and.
they do.
Who
you know,
does?
Can't imagine.
West
they wouldn't
Springfield.
wanna get in.
We were with the West Springfield Conservation Commissioner,
She
that she said they didn't have an agent.
Well, then, I don't know what Mark's role is. I thought he was, maybe he's your position, Connie.
Maybe.
But he's been involved with wetland and conservation commissions since high school.
Oh, wow.
Is he an East Long Meadow or Cathedral?
He,
Noonan?
he's related to the Noonan Energy, that's the same
Oh, yeah.
family.
Noonan Oil.
He went to East Long Meadow High School. I think his cousins went to Cathedral. It's the same family as the oil company.
Did any of you have Scott Jackson or see him for anything? No?
I saw him.
It
I remember
seems
when
like
I
a
went,
long time ago.
the last time I went, I signed up for this thing, and I'm still not very good at it, and it's identifying plants,
Oh, yeah,
trees,
yeah.
they had a bunch of them, I don't know
That's a
what that
good
is.
one.
But,
Right.
and it can be tricky around here too with the different seasons, because they can
Yeah.
look extremely different from one time of the year to the next. Well, good, thank you all for going. I'm glad you all enjoyed it.
Tom can report too. Send your notes out.
So there's actually a wetlands function webinar on the 24th from 6 to 8:30 that I signed up for. If anyone's
It's an
interested.
online,
Mhm.
online thing.
Is that a free one?
Yep.
Yeah, they have those things all the time.
Don't forget to submit receipts for your book so you get reimbursed.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
got my
mentioned
receipt,
that
I
to
just have to
purchase.
find it.
I didn't for the book, but I did for the conference.
We flip for everything.
Anybody have anything else to add?
No.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.